Vitality is our ability to have spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical bliss. Some call it paradise. We call it a game.
Hey all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly value, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey there, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I'm your host, femininity coach, and author of the Crimson Cure, and this is my perspective. So, I have a story to read you guys that should not shock or surprise you. Every once in a while, I have to reiterate why we have a petition against Black Lives Matter, because it's not just the theft of the Global Networking Foundation in 2020 from all of those funds that was donated after George Floyd. This is going on pretty much not only all over the country, but all over the world, apparently, because, well, let me just share with you the article and then read it to you. So here we go. Okay. So this, make it a bit bigger. This was posted on November 11th of this year, right? So about a month ago. Black Lives Matter organizer who helped run demo that toppled Edward Colston's statue is charged with fraud involving fundraiser linked to the protest movement. One of the organizers of the Black Lives Matter demonstration that saw the toppling of Edward Colston's statue has been charged with fraud over a fundraiser linked to the protest movement. Zara Salim, 22, will appear before magistrates in Bristol in January, charged with 2 counts of fraud by abuse of position of trust after an investigation into a fundraising page attached to the BLM movement. The first fundraiser was for the demonstration that saw the statue of Edward Colston toppled in Bristol back in 2020, and a second one set up to help support the people arrested afterwards. Avon and Somerset police investigated a GoFundMe page called Brist BLM, initially set up for the demonstration on June the 7th, 2020, after donation money allegedly went missing. The fundraiser was intended to raise cash for Changing Your Mindset, which was a youth group based in the St. Paul's area of Bristol. Salim also faces charges relating to a crowdfunder page, Bristol Protesters Legal Fees, which raised money for people facing criminal proceedings after the city's protest. Police made the arrest following allegations made by those running Change Your Mindset. This is her. Typical, you see. 4 people were cleared in court of causing criminal damage in January of this year after protests in June 2020 saw the toppling of the statue of 18th century slave trader Colston. The depiction was thrown into Bristol Harbor during the protests following the death of George Floyd in the U.S. Salim describes herself. Now, I want y'all to listen to this. Salim describes herself as a screenwriter and was a co-founder of the All Black Lives Bristol group created after the demonstration. She was named among 30 of the most influential under 30s in Bristol by Rife magazine last year. In a statement, an Avon and Somerset police spokesman said, "A woman is due in court at the start of next year after the Crown Prosecution Service authorized charges following a fraud investigation. Zara Salim, 22, and from East London, has been charged with 2 counts of fraud by abuse of position. She is due before Bristol Magistrates Court on Tuesday, the 3rd, January 2023. It has not been suggested that any others involved in the creation of All Black Lives Bristol were involved in Salim's alleged fraudulent activities." This actually goes on to talk about the people who took part in the toppling of Colston's statue and what they went through. I'm not super inclined to really talk about that, because that doesn't really have a whole lot to do with what we're saying here today. So let me stop sharing, come back to you guys. So This is why we have a petition against Black Lives Matter organization, because of routinely they're pretty much found to be defrauding people using donations, using crowdfunding, GoFundMe, etc., saying that the money is going to go to a specific cause or used in a specific way, which you have to declare if you're going to create any one of those crowdfunding accounts. I've never created a GoFundMe or anything like that, so I don't know the exact procedure, but I am certain that you have to state what you are using it for, and you pretty much have to be transparent about that and truthful about that, because it's not just free money. This woman is only 22, but managed to jump on the scheme and hustle scam, okay, that was Black Lives Matter as an organization. Or you could just use that tagline, or you could just use that hashtag and get people to buy in to what you're talking about, especially if you say you're going to be an activist or you're going to do this or that, and then you do that in the fever pitch of when people are invested, when people are emotionally invested, and they're ready to do their part to help. And a lot of times their part is money, sending some type of funding, especially for people who aren't comfortable with or don't necessarily have time or whatever to hit the pavement to physically be present. They'll go ahead and send money. And then listen how she describes herself: a screenwriter. Where, ma'am? This is a part of the scheme. She was named 30 under 30, okay? 30 of the most influential people under 30 years old by Rife magazine that's in the UK, okay? So this is what they like to do. They like to have accolades. They like to have titles that are empty, and they like to be able to get some money, free, preferably free money, or money that they don't think anybody's going to check up on, or money that they think will be difficult to track as to where the money went after they received the money and things of that nature, whether or not they can fudge on any paperwork or any reporting that might be required to let authorities know what has happened to this money so that it can be kept track of. Right. So this is what I just read to you is basically indicative of the worldwide scam and hustle that Black Lives Matter actually became and came to represent. And it did this on Black Women's Watch. It really did this on Black Women's Watch. And it became a breeding ground for the selfishness of women and for the money grabbing and for the grifting off of communities that they claim to serve without actually serving, without actually putting forth anything or returning anything to the community. Because even if you do it for the majority, that's not looked bad upon. But when you don't do it at all, when you like, okay, we need X amount of money, and people send that money to you in good faith, and then you turn around and say, oh, whatever I said the money was for, I'm not gonna do. So I'm not gonna deliver the good or service. And I'm also, your money's lost. It's gone. It's not coming back. There's no returning it. So people are just out. They gave money for a specific purpose, believing that the people who were saying that they needed the money and that they were going to dispense with it a particular way are going to do that, and then they don't. This is the reality of Black female leadership. No intention to actually help. They just see an opportunity for what they think is free money and a few empty titles and a few accolades. She's probably proud to be in that magazine, probably showing everybody, or whatever, and want to be seen as successful, whether that success is fraudulent or a smokescreen or a facade or whatever the case may be. You can't really claim to love a community that you refuse to help and that you routinely try to scam on. The crowdfunding and the GoFundMe, that doesn't go unmonitored. It's not unmonitored. It's not unmonitored money. If that money is for you personally, you got to say that. If that money is for whatever it is that you say it's for, and that's got to be a tangible thing that people can see come to fruition, that's got to come to fruition. If you're raising money for whatever you're raising money for, you're going to have to be transparent about that so that you don't get in trouble for fraud. Because if it never goes where you say it's going to go and you can't prove it one way or another, you're going to be investigated. You're going to be investigated, and you're going to have to find that money again so that you can return it to the people who graciously donated it to you. This is why we're saying Black male leadership is sorely needed, right? We desperately need the leadership of Black men, because even if there were some people who slithered in through the cracks who wanted to do some defrauding, there wouldn't have been a whole worldwide ring of it. And it would have been better organized. Like, they're not organized. It's beyond being loosely connected and loosely organized. You would not believe the amount of trouble that I'm actually having getting into contact with the local branches of Black Lives Matter all over the United States. It has been more than a tricky situation to get in touch with them. Many hours spent hunting people down, trying to get replies, going through various avenues to try to get in touch with someone, an actual person to speak to. Extremely difficult. Men would not have such a thing where you've got the parent organization and then you've got the grassroots organization that aren't necessarily connected either to the parent or to each other. So it's not even like a true community thing. There's not even a place online necessarily where there's a hub of contact. Okay, this is how you get in touch with the grassroots. Like, you would expect that the Black Lives Matter website would have something like that on their contact page, and they don't. They do not. It's like there's no supervision. There's no one to take accountability or to be responsible for what the branches are doing. Because remember, earlier this year, the Boston branch was in trouble. Remember Monica Grant and her husband? They were in trouble for paying themselves $170,000 a year through all of these different means, using the donated money that came in through Black Lives Matter to pay themselves and live off of that money. Need Black male leadership, because the brother, let's talk about the brother Darren Seals for a little bit. This man was found deceased, and is being investigated as a homicide in 2016. And we know that he was an activist in Ferguson after those brothers had been killed. And he was a heavy critic of Black Lives Matter as an organization. He always was criticizing the fact that they had taken money from George Soros and all of those sorts of things. And then he mysteriously comes up dead. But this brother was an actual activist where he was, and was well known in the neighborhoods about his activism and about his outspokenness, about anti-violence and all of these sorts of things, police violence, all of that. Those are the things that he was speaking out and being outspoken about. And then to find him shot in a car that was then set on fire, and that's not suspicious. One of the heaviest critics early on of Black Lives Matter. This was early on. This wasn't, just a couple of years ago, 3 years ago. And there has not been heavy critique since. And they certainly removed Black male leadership from the entire equation, stating in fact that they were against the traditional nuclear family. So how much more destructive can you be? So we can't believe that they have Black people's best interests at heart with that kind of thing. So I just needed to bring this to you to just reiterate why we're talking about Black Lives Matter for so long and why we have this petition. Speaking of the petition, if you want to become part of holding them accountable, all you got to do is go into the description box and hit the link for the petition. Go ahead and sign it, share it, and contribute to it. We're moving towards our next milestone, which is going to be 15,000 signatures. Our goal is 100,000 signatures. And don't forget to go and get your copy of Reclaiming the Black Feminine, The Lies of Feminism and the Road to Recovery. It is on sale now on crimsoncure.com. Go ahead and to the beautiful website. Go ahead and get your copy. Remember that we have not started shipping yet. It is slated to begin on the 15th of December. So I know everybody's really, really waiting with bated breath and for their copy. So am I, actually. So, you know, I know that people are really, really excited for this book. I'm excited for the book. So please go ahead into the description box as well. Hit the link for crimsoncure.com and get your copy. All right. Also, jump down in the comment section. Let me hear what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you've not. Once again, I'm your host, The Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.
Pick up your copy of Reclaiming the Black Feminine, The Lies of Feminism and the Road to Recovery from Kendra Davis.
Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor, who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.